Brothers, sisters, welcome back. Before we start, I just want to say, my voice is kind of raspy. So I've done my best throughout this video, during the speaking parts, to speak as clearly and as precisely as possible. I've also did my best to fix the music, so when it comes on, it's not blasting as louder than my voice, so it should be even. Should be. Also, you may hear a few clicks every now and then, and that's because when I did this, I recorded this in segments. So I would speak a little bit, cut it, and then do another clip. Altogether, there are about maybe 80 or 90 clips put together to make my audio. What can I say? I love my work. And also remember this, Hermetic magic is not just about magic and power, it's also about knowledge, how the world works. It's what we see that the rest of the people walking around, living their everyday lives, don't see. So it's up to us to bring those things into the light that may be hidden from us. There's their history, and then there's our history. There's their science, and there's our science. So remember, along with Hermetic magic, you must learn to see the world for what it really is. And these next set of videos will touch upon that. Peace. The escape of Mr. and Mrs. Adolf Hitler. Hitler's double trouble. It has taken me 4 years to complete this research. So I'm going to tell you guys how it came to be. About 4 years ago, I was watching a video about the escape of Adolf Hitler. Now, it wasn't the video that was interesting. It was what was going on in the comment section. There was arguing back and forth about who was right and who was wrong. Hitler died. No, he escaped. But the thing is, it was pretty much one guy, one brother, going against everyone else. He believed that Hitler escaped, and everyone else didn't. He held his own for a while, until people started bringing in aliens and Elvis, you know the deal. So it was pretty much over after that. It did get me to thinking though. It takes some serious guts to talk about bases on the moon and the escape of Hitler, reptilians, the Illuminati, things of the sort. And I think I mentioned that before to you guys. But this time I decided to do something about it. Doing my own research for these past 4 years, gathering everything original, documents, articles, newspapers, magazines. I followed Hitler's alleged death from 1945 onward to the autopsies, the whole 9 yards. And I can say with 100% certainty that you guys are the ones who are right. There is no proof whatsoever, none, zero, that one Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun died in the bunker in 1945. And that's a fact, not my opinion. What the mainstream historians have done, they've taken these stories and just repeated them. They have no evidence whatsoever. I mean, it's insane. I thought this research would be hard, but it was just so easy. If I had the time and money, I would have proved he didn't die in the bunker in about 30 days. It took me 4 years because, the time you have to work, chores, home, family. So I would buy a picture here, an article there, a story here, all original, every so often when I could afford it. So this year is when I finally put everything together, everything that I needed. All the forensics, x-rays, teeth, witnesses, everything. The reason this video is broken up into 4 parts is Along with my research, I found a bunch of other things that were of interest. So I just had to add them. One was, we know Hitler had doubles. But I believe he had more doubles than we ever imagined. The second thing I found is the Nazi space program. Now the mainstream historians say that we're confused with the V2 weapons and merging it with some sort of space program. That is all wrong. Nazi Germany had a space program that would make anything we have today in 2014 look like a high school science project. The third part about Adolf Hitler's involvement in the occult. I mean, seriously, dark magic. This guy was a full-fledged black magician. And the last part, part 4, is the main story about his escape. Now, I can't say where he went or where he died, but I can say with 100% certainty it wasn't in a bunker. And you won't just hear my opinions or, theories. You're going to see forensics, teeth, x-rays by some of the best doctors on the planet that looked at these scientists. So there's no doubt. This first photo is from 1936. It's a man walking through a zoo in Vienna. He looks so much like Hitler, but no one knew if it was really him or a double or what. So someone took a picture and it was posted in all the newspapers. Mr. František Holub. He was a Czech train conductor. He looked so much like Hitler that Hollywood offered him a part to play Hitler. And the German soldiers would take a picture with this guy and send them home to their wives and girlfriends and tell them that they took a picture with the Fuhrer. Classic. Operation Valkyrie. The plot to kill Hitler. July 20th, 1944. Hitler found out about this plot. Whether through his intuition or the SS or spies, he knew. So instead of going to the meeting, he sent one of his doubles, or at least someone who looked closely like him, his stenographer, Heinrich Bergner. So he wanted to weed out who was there, and that was the only way. So the bomb goes off. Bergner is injured. I believe he died 2 days later. So Count von Stauffenberg, thinking he killed Hitler, the rest of the officers went on with the plan to take over Germany. It wasn't Hitler. It was a double, and they all gave themselves up. This is how they got caught. In this photo here, dated August 27th, 1944, so more or less a month after the bomb plot against Hitler's life, Hitler is shown decorating Rex's leader, Leon de Grelle of Belgium. Problem: British Secret Service had this picture analyzed using the ear test. I found out that law enforcement, when they can't use fingerprints for some reason or another, use the ears as identification. So this is what the British did. In this picture and previous pictures of Hitler, the British said this guy decorating de Grelle is not Adolf Hitler, but yet another double. Now compared to the previous video, remember, keep your eye on his nose and his right arm and hand. Hitler in 1944 was allegedly almost incapacitated, so the bomb should hit a number on him. Watch his right hand.
Modelares manifestadas na Batalha de Cherkassy. O chefe das unidades valãs, Leon de Grelle, foi condecorado com a Cruz de Cavaleiro.
Those of you here who have studied the Hermetic sciences and are familiar with the works of Master Franz Barton may recall in the book Verbato that it was said that after the war, Master Barton used his abilities to see that Hitler had some form of surgical procedures done on his face so as not to be recognized so he could escape. To some, it may sound ridiculous still, but I just happened to find this. Just think about it. Your officers just tried to murder you. Game's over. Was it just surgery on his throat? Or did he take it further? Julius Schreck, early party member, friend of Hitler, first leader of the SS, and Hitler's personal chauffeur in the early days. Well, this one day, Hitler decides he wants to drive. Of course, as luck would have it for Hitler, but not for the other guy. Schreck was killed by an assassin. Now, some stories say he died of meningitis. And then there's some stories say it was in a car crash. But the only ones I found is it was an assassin's bullet that got him. It was kind of covered up so as not to get any bad press in the party. He was buried with full honors, and they say Hitler even cried. I did learn something though. Using the ear test that the British did in 1944 to weed out Hitler's double, why not use it on the pictures that I already have and compare the ears to all the photos? So I started with this one. This one is Schreck and Hitler. Look at Hitler's ear, the design. Hitler and von Hindenburg. So as you can see, this Hitler is the same one that was in the car with Schreck. An older photo of Hitler. Comparing the ears again, these are the same guys, but this one's a tad bit older. Doing the ear identification is not as easy as it sounds. I believe there's a variation in the right ear and the left ear. I'm not sure, but it takes skill, something I don't have. So maybe you guys can help me out with a few of these that you're going to see later on. Here's another older picture with Hitler. What do you think? It looks like it, but as I said before, it takes some skill, and I really can't be sure on this one. It looks like it, but I don't know. What do you think? Is this the same guy as the Schreck and von Hindenburg guy? Look at this one. Now this is a younger version of Hitler, but look at the ear. Definitely not the same guy as the von Hindenburg Schreck Hitler. Totally different. I mean, it's different. The lobe is longer, and the design inside, and you can't miss it. It's totally different. An older version, a year older I believe, of the picture you just saw. Now, these two are the same, but they aren't the same as the von Hindenburg Schreck Hitler. Hitler, 1921. Now look at this guy. It looks different than from the ones we just saw with the younger Hitlers. And it looks different than from the von Hindenburg Schreck Hitler. See how the lobe is shorter on this guy? I don't know, maybe he grew into it. Again, I'm not an expert. What do you guys say? Now, is this the same guy we just saw? A few years older? Hitler, 1924. Which one is this one? Again, you guys have to forgive me, as I said. I have to be honest. This takes skill. It's not really something I have. You have to go to school for this. To look at the marks inside and the lobe and the size and shape, the whole 9 yards. What I believe is happening is, I believe the doubles that he used, I believe the Nazis also used the younger photos of the doubles also. So you're not only looking at the possibility of a young Hitler, a young real Hitler, but you're looking at young doubles also. I mean, it's amazing. Can't believe it. The Strange Death of Adolf Hitler. This book was written in 1939, and it's allegedly written by one of Hitler's doubles, one Maximilian Bauer. In the story, Bauer claims that the real Hitler was poisoned on September 29, 1938, on the eve of the Munich Agreement. He was poisoned by something in his food, an omelet that he ate. Anyway, the other Nazi leaders, fearing they would lose everything without Hitler, convinced Bauer, made him an offer he couldn't refuse, convinced Bauer to stand in for the real Hitler. Bauer, saying that he feared sooner or later he would be murdered, wrote this book and sent it to America, sent the manuscript to America where it was translated. He wanted to tell his story and have his real name known just in case something would happen. Do I believe it? No. Oh, yes and no. I believe that a double was murdered, not the real Hitler, and that Bauer may have taken his place. But I believe the real Hitler, again, as so many times that he's escaped death, realized that it probably was a dangerous place to be, as he was an enemy of Europe. But an interesting story nonetheless. Take a look at his toothbrush mustache compared to the other photos of Hitler. The other photos, Hitler's mustache is full. Here, it's separated into three parts, like they couldn't connect and get a full mustache. So what do you guys think? Is this guy with the broken toothbrush mustache, is it really Hitler? Or is it really a double? I can't tell. Now look at these two pictures. At first glance, you would think both of these guys are the same. But take a look at this. Look at the ear. It's the same guy as that Shrek and Von Hindenburg guy. This guy, well, looks really close, doesn't it? But the lobe looks a little bit pointier, longer. And inside the ear crevice or cavern, it looks smaller than the other guy. And what do you think? Are they the same? Or could it be just the angle? I have no idea. If you look at these cartoons here, a lot of people in Europe and some here in the US in the 1930s and 40s were wondering the same thing that we are here now. Which one of these guys is the real Hitler? How many doubles does he have? How many doubles have been killed? If you're going to kill one, which one is the real Hitler? If you're going to capture one, which one is the real Hitler? Is he even alive? This one is 1932, but it doesn't look like the von Hindenburg Shrek Hitler of 1933. Look at the year on this one. I believe this guy is the same guy as when we just saw the previous 1932 Hitler. Is this Hitler the same as the 1934 Hitler you just saw? Again, I'm not sure, and to be honest, I've given up. So I'm just going to show you guys the pictures of what I have. Some of them, because there were more I haven't even posted. Clearly, they are not the same guy. Which one is the real Hitler? I have no clue. Tell me. Because it's just nuts. There are just too many. Another 1935. Now I can't see his ears on this, but his mustache, his toothbrush mustache looks kind of different. Also, the date on these postcards and photos and newspapers and the magazine articles. In the early days, the original ones, it doesn't mean that the photo was taken on this date or in this year. It gives us a point of reference saying that this particular Hitler or double or whatever had to be alive or exist either this year, in that particular year, or earlier. And yet another 1935. Your guess is as good as mine. The mustache, the toothbrush mustache is kind of different. So I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Another Hitler? I don't know, people. It's not my expertise. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Newspaper, 1939. It's Britain declaring war on Germany. And Hitler's a wanted man. But what stands out here are the two photos on this wanted poster, or wanted page. One is front facing, and there's one that's a profile side view. These two guys are not the same. At least I don't think so. Unless one Hitler is earlier, or younger, and one is older. They just caught him at different times, but these two guys are not the same. And I want to mention this, that if you look at a lot of old Hitler photos and posters and magazines, he's always looking up, or he's looking down, he's looking to the side, looking to the right, looking to the left, his eyes are rolling. He's seldom really, the very few that I've seen, gives a straightforward facial view. It's always kind of cornered, where you can tell it's Hitler or maybe not. And I think that's what fooled a lot of people. And the reason that Britain, in this article here, had to use two different photos. Take this next picture for instance. In 1944, as the war was rapidly drawing to a close, the Allies were worried about Hitler escaping, or maybe changing his appearance. So this New York makeup artist got the idea of taking one of Hitler's pictures and altering it, adding a beard or glasses or whatever, to show Allied command what Hitler may look like if he's trying to escape Germany, or how he may alter his appearance. The only problem is the picture he used is useless. It's the one you just saw. Is this Hitler? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. This picture is as useless as it was in 1939. How many of the other Hitler photos even look like this guy? And that's why Nazi Germany had all those doubles. They prepared for the worst. The other thing you guys have to understand is that the Soviets conquered Berlin, and they held Berlin for an entire month before the other Allies were permitted to enter. They had access to the evidence, access to the witness, access to everything before anyone else did. A month later, when the other Allies were permitted to enter, they found the entire place had been gutted by the Soviets. There was nothing left, pretty much just scrap. All of our evidence comes from interrogating the Nazis in the bunker and what the Soviets told us. This picture here is going around the net. I've seen the video and the stills. It says that this guy's name is Gustav Wöhler, but I've never seen the name in any of the articles that I've read. So I really can't say who this is, other than it's a double. There is a story behind it. Also, you guys have to realize that the Soviets never admitted to having Hitler, his body, until sometime in the mid-60s, late 60s. And this is one of the first pictures they produced to prove that they had captured Hitler, up until everyone realized it was a fake, including the former Nazis. Here is what they said partially on how this body was found in the beginning. And just to show you guys how little we knew about the death of Adolf Hitler, even until the early 70s, this book here was a nationwide bestseller by Robert Payne, The Life and Death of Adolf Hitler. Rave reviews, Book of the Month Club, everything. But look at what he says on how Hitler's body was found. This is how little we knew about the death of Adolf Hitler, even until the 70s. All of our information comes from those who were in the bunker with Hitler and what the Soviets told us. So the only thing we truly have to go on are the forensics. And even that is tainted and full of lies. The truth is, we have nothing that says Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun killed themselves in the bunker. This is why you hear the historians repeating their stories on the suicides. But when it's time to put up the forensics, the evidence, Everything is always questionable, under scrutiny. So the only thing we have is the word of the Soviets under Stalin and Khrushchev. The word of the Nazis in the bunker that were with Hitler, and the word of historians.
War's dramatic action reaches the far north as Coast Guardsmen blast their way through ice floes off Greenland in an attempt to break up establishment of Nazi bases. The hunt went on for 2 months, just a few hundred miles from the North Pole. Among the Navy Task Force objectives were armed German trawlers and a heavily mined radio and weather station in service on the island. The relentless search continued day and night. 60 Nazi prisoners were taken. Hidden in icy caves, much scientific equipment was captured, along with the crew of the Nazi weather station. From this point, valuable information had been radioed to enemy planes and bases. 2 Coast Guard cutters tracked down a brand new 180-foot Nazi trawler and cornered her in the ice. One trawler was scuttled by its crew, who were taken aboard the cutter Northland. During the Arctic operation, a 3rd armed trawler and another enemy installation were discovered. Both had been abandoned a short time before, and both were destroyed by our task force. Fighting the heavy drifts, the Northland finally smashed her rudder, and only heroic effort saved her from enemy attack. These are Coast Guard and newsreel pictures. A prize crew brought the captured trawler Echsensteiner to Boston. Boarded before the German crew had time to set off demolition charges, the ship is complete in every detail. Rocket launchers and 37mm guns were part of her armor. Our vital mid-Atlantic base is safe, thanks to the unceasing vigilance of the Greenland Patrol.
The Coast Guard mission began in July 1944, when the Greenland Sledge Patrol, composed of Danish nationals, discovered evidence of a Nazi station near Cape Susi. These Navy films were taken during more than 2 months of operations through ice-packed waters. Probing the icy waters for additional quarry. A Focke-Wulf attached to the Nazi expeditions is sighted. Plane veers off to the east and disappears. Our position is 800 miles below the North Pole. Boats are lowered for a dawn attack on Little Caldaway Island. The 2-platoon force of sailors is from the cutter East Wind. Their objective? A Nazi radio and weather station, source of valuable weather gathering data transmitted to Berlin for use in operations throughout the Northern European theater. These latest skirmishes are the northernmost engagements to have taken place in this hemisphere. Several months prior to the landing, an Army combat crew searching the area of Cape Sucy found a Nazi base hastily abandoned and burned. Caldaway's base, however, was found intact. The station is finally liquidated as 3 officers and 9 enlisted men surrender. A total of 60 prisoners were taken during the 2 months' operations. The job had to be done during the relatively short period when ships are able to operate through the shifting flows of the Arctic Ocean. During most of the year, the northern seas are covered over with ice. Mission accomplished. Northern Europe's weather originates and moves eastward from here. So the Nazis had equipped this valuable base with a large amount of scientific and radio equipment, which is removed to the cutter East Wind. Another ship in the Arctic mission was the South Wind. The cutter Northland made the first American capture of Nazis September 1941. Destroyed in the current operation were 3 German expeditions.
As you guys can see, there is nothing to be ashamed about in asking questions and wondering if you're being told the truth, if there are holes in certain parts of history. And it shows that what you can do with a little bit of unbiased research. Now, what I did here, you can't tell me other universities with unlimited backing can do the same thing. So we have to ask why. This is not 1955. We're in the 21st century. People ask questions. No one believes what they're told anymore. We have information at our fingertips at lightning speed. I still choose to use snail mail because it's better for me. In my next video, in part 2 of this series before we get to the finale, we're going to talk about my favorite, the Nazi space program. Now, we're told that we're confusing the V2s and internet conspiracy theory in movies with a Nazi space program. The things I've seen that I'm going to show you guys, you will not believe. Lied to yet again. Nazi Germany did have a space program. And the plan was, after the entire Earth fell to Hitler's armies, the Nazi scientists planned on the exploration of space, conquering other worlds, and just like Earth, one by one, bringing other planets under the will of the Fuhrer. If any of you are interested in finishing this research about which one of these Hitlers is the real Hitler, I would definitely love to know. That scope is way beyond me. There are just too many. Also, I've been looking for ways to converse or communicate with you guys better, as I have a hard time getting to my email. So I finally got on Twitter. What, 5 years now? It's been on. So yeah, hopefully that works out, and we will be able to communicate more, or try to anyway. As far as a question and answer type deal.